Hobby Streaker, stripping down your hobby to its bare plastic. Hey everybody, welcome to the Hobby Streakers, episode 9. I'm joined as always by my co-host Liam.
Hello.
Liam today is on 1,433 days of hobby streak. I am on 256. For those who do not know what that is, every day we do 30 minutes of hobby. So most of the time it will be painting, miniatures. We do a lot also of building because you need to go through actually building the stuff before you paint.
You gotta put them together before you can paint them.
And myself, I also do a lot of 3D printing, which we have a small section in this podcast where we talk about that. So this week we are gonna do a shout out to Mr. Liam. You had a shout out?
Yes.
Shout out.
So last week we had somebody else reach the exalted heights of the 1000 club. So there's Mr. Sonic Rules 13S.
Cool.
Got his day 1000 over on Instagram. So
nice.
Go check him out. Give him your love and affection.
Okay.
He's been doing some Tiny Titans.
Oh, that's nice. Cool.
There's been some other.
Yeah, I've seen a few
on Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen a few that cross, like I saw 500, I saw a couple thousands, because he's not the only one. I thought I saw more than one reach 1,000, but yeah.
There's been a couple of people who've done it on Twitter, but for the life of me, I was an idiot and forgot to make a note.
Yeah, it's fine. But I mean, if they're listening, good job, guys. Keep on
I'm
going.
sorry, I'm an
Enjoy.
idiot.
Oh no, but like again, like I hope you enjoy it still after 1,000 days, and yeah.
I'm going to try and be better about shouting out people's milestones.
All right, cool.
So
myself, and I believe I already did a shout out to him last week. Invader Design does lately has been doing well. He's posting on our Discord, so if you want to go on the Discord, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Links below.
push
You will have
buttons are fun.
links below. You will have the Discord, Facebook, all that jazz, Twitters and so on. So he does little miniatures, which right now, so he's made this space lizard, which is a iguana, and that was the one that I was saying looks like the super cool version of the one from the Magic School Bus. Printed it without the base, and I'm gonna have to tell him that, because he was like, oh no, I'm gonna he made the model with the base, but I chopped it off, not physically in a software. Well, one of the software I talked about last week when I said usually you use a slicer to cut models. This is what I use. So I cut the base so that he doesn't have a base, so I can put the base that I want, which is probably going to be one of my sci-fi base, which is also 3D printed that I made. So shout out to him. Really nice model. Unfortunately, and this is not his fault, it's mine, I cut the thumb and the bottom of the whatever thing hanging from the bottom of the dude. It's not a crest, it's the opposite. Crest on the top, whatever is on the bottom, like the gutter
Beard.
Well, yeah, kind of like, yeah, it looks like a, yeah. Anyway, so I cut that and the thumb by mistake. I thought it was I'm like, man, that's a big, how come the support is that big? And I chopped it off, and then I'm like, uh-oh, that didn't sound to break like an actual support. So I'm like, oh, that probably wasn't a support. And I went back to the actual file, and I went, yeah, nope. So shout out to him. Thanks again for the model. Available on CG Trader, which is a website where you can get some stuff. I actually might talk about a couple of websites today on the 3D printing, because I don't think I've done that, and I don't think I have that much stuff in there to start with. So stay tuned for that. We might go into a little bit of website where you can get some models and stuff. Today, what are we doing today? I'm gonna go back to Mr. Amazing Spider-Man from Marvel Crisis Protocol, from the people at Atomic Mass Game, because that explosion is crap. So I need to completely redo that, and I am not too sure how yet. Probably a lot of blending, started with some yellow on the bottom and just going up to yellow, orange, reds, black, probably something like that. Looking more like what I've done on this dude, which is Quicksilver. So more like something like this, because the way that I've done it, I don't like it. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. What are you going to paint?
So today I am planning on doing some, careful how I pick this up, more work on Indrasta, the Celestial Spear. So I've got
She doesn't
her...
have the wing! You left the wings out.
Wings are there, so it's easier for me to paint.
Oh no, for sure, yeah. I'm not a big fan of, and I've talked about this.
They're going to be white. They're going to be white wings, so...
Oh, alright. No,
to save me having to relayer up 15 times every time I mess up.
No, I'm not a big fan of sub-assembly, but when it's a model like this, I completely understand that you're doing sub-assembly, and you would be completely crazy to not do so, because it's just,
I had
yeah,
about
I don't...
3 or 4 sub-assemblies for the Celestin Prime, and that was... Ooh boy.
Yeah, I don't think you can paint that one without sub-assembly at all. That would just be nuts. I mean, it would just be crazy.
Yeah.
And I am putting back my little paints,
some other stuff on
wondering what I'm doing.
Lord Imperatant. So this is the back of a Lord Imperatant, if you wanted to see what the back of a Lord Imperatant looks like.
Okay. Alright, well...
If your name isn't Ashlyn.
Oh, and then, okay, yeah, well, because that one doesn't have the wings, basically. Is that the difference?
He doesn't have wings, but, you know...
If you hear my cat, I am sorry. The cat is going crazy on the other side of the door.
Kitty cat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just gonna pick at some bits for those, and hopefully not get to a point where I need to do any detailing, because I can't do detailing work and talk.
Oh, really? Last time I know, like you. Well, it is, and I understand completely. I mean, I can listen to stuff, but talking when you're doing very precise work is not easy. This is why right now I'm talking, and I'm actually...
I can't carry a conversation
putting my pens
and
back
do detail work.
Right now, this is what I'm doing.
So I've got to listen to you, think about what I'm going to say, and paint. That's too much brain power. Smoke starts coming out of my ears.
50. But yeah, so let's see. So what have you done the past 2 weeks?
Past 2 weeks. So I finished my jury service.
It went on super fast, I have to say.
I finished the Celestin Prime.
Okay.
It's done. I managed to get a sweet blend from blue to purple to white, to purple to blue to white up the swirls. Managed to get that looking crisp. I'm really happy with how that turned out. So I took it down to a cup to use it in a game. and a load of people came around and went, "Oh, Liam, that looks really good." And I was like,
Nice.
validation.
Validation.
I also started
Thank
and
you.
finished the Knight Arcanum from the Dominion set.
Okay.
So she's the wizard lady doing that. She's got a nice big stick for hitting people with. Got a blank mask, kind of creepy looking. Yeah, I've started on these two, and the that's a spare head. Don't know where you came from. The Knight of Vexilor with Banner of Apotheosis. Started doing him.
Okay.
And
Some secret project stuff.
secret project stuff. And I've got a whole box of terrain over there for the new from the new.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Yep.
The Realmscape expansion stuff. So I've started doing some of that.
Cool.
So, I had a game lined up for Sunday, and then our GM was like, "Guys, I'm really sick. I've got the lurg. I'm going to stay at home."
You.
Like, cool, awesome. I will take some hobby down to club, and I'll sit and do that, and just be annoying to people. So I did that. Built some stuff, gave it a spray, started putting a shade down on it.
So
gonna look cool when it's done.
how's the weather in the UK? Because here it is freaking freezing.
We are clinging desperately to the last vestiges of summer.
Oh no, yeah, we're
averaging highs of the mid-teens in terms of warmth at the moment.
and that's Celsius for people.
Yeah.
It's
beautifully sunny over lunchtime today.
It's 4 degrees.
It's starting.
Yeah, it's
starting
4
to grey
degrees
out a
Celsius
bit.
right now here, and it's gonna get to 6. Woohoo! And -6 tonight. We are definitely, and it's supposed to snow also today. So yeah, yay, awesome.
Fun.
So I am in the garage. We have a heater in the garage, which makes a good amount of noise. So if you hear that kick in the back, it's a gas heater, which been working really well because I mean I'm wearing a jacket, well a sweater, but it's okay. It's 65 Fahrenheit, which is, I don't know, 15, 17, probably around that Celsius. So it's not that bad. Yeah. All right. So what I did the past 2 weeks. So I finally
Long
finished.
old list.
Yeah, I finally finished Carnage. I started.
Did you get him to a point where you're happy with him though?
Yeah.
You're not going to strip him again.
No. I won't strip it again. But I mean, if you've seen the picture, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy. I wish the reds would pop a little bit more, and I don't want to add any orange because I've already put the orange for some of the highlights. But I like him. It turned out pretty well. So also decided I again missed the base on Omega Red and Crystal, which were not finished. So I finished those, which I don't know. It's somewhere in that thing. Yeah, Crystal is up there. Omega Red is on the side there. So I've done those. I ended up starting and finishing Mr. Craven, the Hunter, with some freehand on it. Woohoo! Because he's got some weird leopard print into his.
The leopard print.
Yeah, so I did the leopard print. But the rest, yeah, I'm pretty happy how it turned out. The skin, I am not too pleased with my. It's the rosy flesh. I don't think I should have used that, but because I think he's a little bit too pinkish. So it works for some character, it doesn't really work for him. I would probably go back to pale flesh as highlights instead of the rosy flesh. It's the same hue, but not the same color. Like it will lighten and make a nice highlights, but it won't be pinkish. So that was basically all the stuff that I did. I worked on Angela, which now I have no idea where she is. Oh, there she is. So I started on her. Lots of metallic paint on it. Okay, where she is right now. I don't think I'll work on her that much more. I'll do the base and probably call it done. She's been sitting for a long time, and I've been dreading to just do it because of the... I don't have a good gold metallic paint. So I'm thinking about maybe at one point try the Monument Hobbies paint, because the Pro Acryl, they're saying it's a pretty good metallic paint, so I might try that. If not, I will wait for the Duncan to arrive and see how that one compares. But yeah,
so Duncan coming over to yours.
Yeah,
he's coming to visit.
Yeah, I backed the I backed the Kickstarter, so I don't know when is the delivery. I haven't even looked at their timeline, so I need to check on that. But yeah, and then I spent a lot of freaking time. Well, and Taskmaster, which is right here. So Taskmaster, I am getting happy with the blues on him. I will start on the yellow oranges probably pretty soon, and then I will work on the cape, which is white on the outside, so that will start being some highlights. It's gray right now, and I'm gonna start doing highlights with probably half white and a mix of gray and half white and go from there. So then yeah, I spent it way too much time on my printer. So my CR6 printer worked pretty well. I want to start printing a lot of terrain, and I will talk about this in the section about 3D printing. But yeah, so I changed the nozzle because I thought the nozzle was a little plugged and it wasn't printed correctly. And so when that didn't do anything, I started looking at doing a calibration of the printer. So, and I might talk about a lot more about how to calibrate, but basically you tell it, hey, extrude 10 millimeters, 100 millimeters or 50 or whatever. And then you look at how much it actually extrudes. And then you change the steps in your printer to tell him, well, actually, you instead of doing 93 steps to extrude 100 millimeters, you will need more than that because, reasons. Basically, you calibrate it because it's never, manufacturing and all this, you never exact. Well, so I did that. And the printer started telling me really weird numbers. Like, hey, you need, instead of 93, you need 200. And I went, what? Okay, that seems a bit excessive. And then changed the nozzle again because I thought maybe the nozzle was the wrong one because it was a 0.3 instead of a 0.4, blah, 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 blah. So there's going to be a cut in me talking for a little bit, probably, on this. Some just background noise. So yeah, I did that, and then I tried again to look at how much it should be extruding and all this, and then all of a sudden gave me 260, and I went, okay, there is a major issue. I tried a whole bunch of things. I even undo I opened the extruder and everything, which is a pain to put back because it's the new one with the spring in it and all that jazz. And so yeah, I was like, at the end I was like, all right, this is not working. The more I try, the more this thing is telling me that basically um, it it's not extruding at all the way it's supposed to. So probably the extruder is dead. So I order a new extruder. Hopefully, should be arriving today. Which, with the bad weather, I am not sure that's going to be the case. But yeah, so we'll see when that gets in, and I will have to redo the whole configuration and everything. One thing with the printers is that you cannot, like, Mac doesn't really work that well with them. Some software, especially software connecting to the printer to do like changing settings into the printer and so on. Some of them just don't. They just don't work properly. So I had to use my daughter's laptop to connect to the thing. It was a pain, but now everything is there. So I just need to, next time when that soft when the extruder comes in, I'll do everything that needs to be done. But yeah, it's the first time I have so much pain with that one. It's been working pretty well until now. So hopefully it is just the extruder and it's not gonna be something else, because then that means changing a whole bunch of things, which is gonna be again a pain, and so no. But yeah, so that's took me a lot of my hobby streak time. Because I mean, Sunday probably took me 3 hours to just go through. It was nuts. It just, to the point where I had my chair in front of the freaking printer, like that's so much. Because at first, you're standing up and you're undoing the nozzle and putting a new nozzle and doing all these things and blah blah blah, and after a while you're like, I need to sit down. I've been standing for 2 hours trying to figure out this issue, and it's just not going anywhere. So I had to sit down and just like keep doing and trying, and I think that probably there's some teeth that are bad in the extruder, because when like I tried to print something and I get a nice line, when it deposits a nice line, another nice line, another nice line, and then it comes back and deposits nothing. And then another nice line, and then again like 3-4 lines, and again a line where it's nothing. And so I'm like, well, for that line to be nothing means that basically it's going clunk, 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 and it's not gripping properly the filament and everything. And so that's why I'm really thinking it's the extruder, and I'm hoping it's the extruder, because it's like $12 and it's not the end of the world. If it is more than that, if it's the hot hand or anything like this, then that's gonna be, yeah, nope. I don't want to think about it, and it's gonna take me forever, and it's gonna cost a lot more money, so nope. Yeah, so still will prefer the resin printer, a lot less fiddly to deal with. And that was my 2 weeks, so yeah, pretty much.
Busy.
Yeah, well, and again, like, it's one thing, like, and I was knocking down those minis, and I was super happy, like, finished Carnage. Carnage took me forever, and I talked about it last time. I mean, it really took forever. It took me probably 6 hours, at least, to paint, in increment of, like, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, it's like, it took a long freaking time to do. So, yeah, that was just long. Like, yeah, it was just super, super, super long. But again, like, really happy how it turned out. And it went, it went okay. The others went super fast. I was super happy with those. I mean, it just went really great. Like, Craven went pretty well. So yeah. And Taskmaster is coming along nice, and I was really knocking those down, and then I was like, oh, okay, I want to do a terrain project, and that was a bad idea. Well, no,
It just says no.
I still think it's a good idea, and I still want to do it, and I will do it. But yeah, it's just all of a sudden open a kind of worm of all the issues that I had with that printer, which would have come in at some point anyway. So yeah, might as well have been this time around. But yeah, so yeah, that pretty much is what I've painted. So I have not tried anything new. Well, except freehand, which I don't usually do. So I did a little bit of freehand, but other than that, no. Didn't really do anything. What about you?
I've not done anything new on the creative building painting side, but I've put the book over there because I'm an idiot. Yeah, I've been playing around with some lists for the Stormcast.
Alright.
So
for Age of Sigmar?
yes,
Alright, cool.
like the last book.
So are you already playing
had
3rd edition, or are you still...
absolutely
Okay, cool.
all good.
Alright. Is it better? Are the improvements worth it?
It's I'm starting to get my head around the changes a lot more. Cool. So yeah, it's a lot cleaner and streamlined.
Oh well, that's good.
Excuse me.
Good.
So like the old book, you had the Stormcast. You had the Signs of the Storm allegiance ability, so you could deploy half your army on the table and half in the heavens, and they struck down like lightning bolts and
okay, cool.
Deep struck in.
Well, and that's pretty much the flavor of the
yeah.
That goes well with the
absolutely
with the lore of the whole
thing. With the Broken Realms books that they did to wrap up 2nd edition and start 3rd edition, they introduced a subtype of Stormcast's Eternal Allegiance that you could do, which was a Storm Keep. So these are the guys who've already struck down into the realms, and they're fortifying a particular position. So they're less the rapid assault guys and more the we're dug in. This is where we're going to stand. We're going to hold the line.
Okay.
They had the ability to mix in some of the Cities of Sigmar units.
Okay.
So you could put them in, and they'd gain your sub-faction rules, which was pretty cool. But they've now, in the new edition, gone. You can either be a Signs of the Storm and have half your guys in the sky, or you can be a Storm Keep. So I've decided that I'm going to play around with the Storm Keep stuff for a bit.
See how that works.
So you get that gives you some bonuses to your Redeemer Conclave Stormcast. So that's all your basic guys with the shields and whatever weapon type that particular type has. So the Liberators are the shields and hammers. The Secretors are the Roby guys with the shields and the maces. And then you've got the new Vindictors with the shields and the spears. And there's another type, the guys with the big swords, but that isn't out yet.
Alright, and so you used an app for that?
Yep.
Is that what you tried then? Is that? But I thought you had weren't you using Battlescribe?
I'm using the app when I'm having thoughts about what army I'm running when I'm at work.
Okay.
And then I'm getting home onto my laptop, and I'm bringing up War Scroll Builder from the Warhammer community website, and I'm doing my lists on that.
Yeah.
So I took the Stormkeep build out against my friend Matt last Sunday.
Okay.
He's the guy I split the Dominion box with.
Okay.
So he was running the new Uruk stuff, and I was running the new Stormcast stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is a new edition. It's all about monsters. Let's bring my Star Drake out. And I bought my Star Drake out. It's 500 points worth of Star Drake. And I charged it into 175 points worth of killer boss on Gnash Tooth.
Yeah. I've seen
And
that,
I bounced off of it.
And you got pummeled.
And then the killer boss killed it. And then the Star Drake exploded and did 1 wound to it. So, like, I've got this 16 wound hero of the storm mounted on a giant dragon versus 1 swampy orc on a giant mangy dog. Who would win?
Yeah. Well,
I did about 3 wounds to the killer boss on Gnash Tooth.
Was it
the killer boss turned around and went,
or
dead.
was it? It's just not balanced. Because that would make no sense. Like, well, it's not that would make no sense, but it's a little bit, yeah. It would be a fair bit of it.
A fair bit of it was dice.
Okay.
A fair bit of it was dice. Yeah, I mean, that model has the Star Drake has the output to be able to do that if you roll well. It's just because Stormcast are very middle of the road. It's not very like swingy. Yeah. So I took a variant of the same list out the Sunday just gone.
Okay.
And
that went better.
I took the Celestin Prime out because I'd finished the Celestin Prime. So I swapped the Celestin Prime out, the Star Drake out for the Celestin Prime. And they go in the same really useful box when I'm transporting stuff around. So I kept the Star Drake in the box next to the table, and I went, right, this is how you're supposed to do it. And then the Celestin Prime came down and he went, I've got a big hammer. And he swung that around and killed lots of stuff and did his job properly. So I'm going to do that a couple more times, make sure the Star Drake's learned its lesson.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, so I've got another game on Sunday lined up. So I'm teaching somebody else from the club 3rd edition. So I'm going to run a pretty much the same list as I did.
Be nice if
the
it's
other
someone
week.
that just starting. Be nice and.
He's played a couple of games of. He's played a fair bit of 2nd, so it's just updating. His knowledge.
Okay, yeah, all right. So it's not okay. No, it's not like a brand new.
I mean,
player. I would come in and be like, all right, I have no idea what I'm doing.
After the club came back after lockdown, I played a couple of games of AOS 2 with him just to refresh his memory.
Yeah.
And I might have accidentally tabled him twice in the same evening.
Which again, it's not really nice. Like the guy is,
no.
well, at least he's still playing, so that's good. That means he took it well. Because some people will be like, okay, I'm done. That might not necessarily
after the first time I tabled him, I was like, right, Lars, what don't we do? We don't stand in front of the big artillery piece. Yes, Lars, don't stand in front of the big artillery piece. And in the second game, he walks a unit in front of the big artillery piece, and then decided he wanted to go back the other way.
It's too late.
I was like, Lars, what are you doing, mate? He's like, I don't know. It's like, I'm going to shoot that now. You know that, right? And he's like, oh. You said you weren't going to do it, and then you did.
Well.
But I can't run that army like that anymore in the new book, so.
Alright, I'm going to let that dry.
And I've told him how the new army list works. So that should be fine.
Right.
Unless he's forgotten by the time we get to the club on Sunday. We should be good. Unless we're not.
Alright. Well,
but I've told him how it all works.
Let's talk about our Streaker poll, which I realized I didn't put it in. Oh my goodness. What did I do? I didn't put it in the file, but I will find it and I will talk about the results. Alright, so
Twitter
poll this week, we asked about scale. And well, it was one of the subjects that we wanted to address before.
Some scales.
It's in our list. Speaking of which, if you have any suggestion of topics you would like us to talk about, please put it in the comments below. Put it on Twitter, Discord, whatever. Let us know what you want us to do, to talk about, especially, and so yeah. This one I don't know how it came about that I wanted to do scale. I think I've been talking about scale a little bit on the podcast already before, and I think it might have come from the lizard when I asked, "Oh, what scale is that lizard? Is it 38? Is it 28? Or is it 32 or anything else?" So yeah, most people went from heroic 28 to 40 millimeters, and for me that encompasses a very broad range of games. For me, heroic 28 is Game Workshop.
Yep.
Most of their stuff is heroic 28. I am probably gonna put on the screen a little scale of miniatures. So when you start from the bottom, from what I've seen, 6mm is probably the smallest. Usually scales, so it will give you, so 6mm would be 6mm from the bottom of the feet of the guy to its eyes. That's pretty much what the scale is usually. So 6mm would be pretty freaking tiny small. Some
Definitely
guys were talking even smaller than that, like 1/8000, which those are mostly ships games and starship games, where you have ships that are gonna be a few centimeters, like a couple of inches, and that's gonna be a full battleship.
That's your naval combat games, your
Yeah.
Star Wars Armadas, your
Yeah.
Battlefleet Gothics.
Yeah, those are, yeah. So those are pretty much 1/8000. Now after that, you start going up. 6mm, 10mm, 15mm. Those mostly are combat games, the likes of World War II, World War One, Napoleonic Wars, and things like this. Historic games are usually those kinds of scales, because you can have an entire battlefield full with like armies and tanks and things like this, and it's just like, and you have a whole battalion that's gonna fit within a few.
No, we've run some 15mm Napoleonic stuff.
Yeah,
at the club.
So yeah, if you were doing 28mm
10x6 table, so
yeah,
it looks amazing.
Yeah, if you were doing 28mm, you will need like a freaking gymnasium to do that. So it's like, let me get that basketball court, because that's pretty much the size that you're gonna need. So there's no way you could do bigger scale for those.
We have played a 28mm scale Pirates game.
Well, there is blood and
what
plunder.
we did was we just didn't get any tables out for the club that week and played it on the floor.
Nice. Well, there is blood and plunder, but that's a skirmish, so you cannot like. And
I'm pretty sure it was that.
And the ships are huge. I mean, yeah, it's 28mm, like the ship is, and it's awesome. I mean, I really like that. But yeah, so when you start going into scales like this, then yeah, if you try to do naval combat, a whole bunch of ships, space and all this, then you go up 6mm, 10mm, 15 for like big epic historic battles. Then you start going into, so I've put true 28 separated, because for me, like if you look at something like Stargrave, and Frostgrave and things like this, which I might just grab a little guy there. So when you take something like this, those are true 28, and North Star Mini tends to do true 28. Then you would have something like, and I don't have, same thing with Whiskids. They're painted miniatures.
Yeah.
They're not painted, prime miniatures. So that guy, like an orc, that's one of the first mini I painted, FYI. So those are also true 28. So that orc is huge because orc is huge, but you see the elf compared to a human is gonna be, yeah. So those are true 28. There's a whole bunch of manufacturers that do true 28. They tend to be, so some of the 28s that I have tends to be a bit bulky. Like they look bulky a little bit, but it fits pretty well. So now the problem is when you start taking something like, all right, those guys, which are stormtroopers. So stormtroopers are 32s. So you can already tell like a huge difference between the 28 and the 32. The problem is when you start going, well, do you have a true 28 and like the 28 heroic of Games Workshop? Because that's a big difference. For me, that's like they're like, oh yeah, we're doing 28.
Teutonic Knight.
Yeah, you're doing
Teutonic
28.
Knight and a Dark Elf Sorceress.
Yeah, the Dark Elf Sorceress is like a head taller than the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like a 6 foot tall guy wearing plate.
Yeah, and she is still way taller than him because she is 28 heroic, which I wish they would stop saying 28 heroic and be like, okay,
and I mean, even you
those are freaking 32s.
Put him next to this custodian.
Well, is that guy supposed to be like 6.5, 7 feet tall?
7 foot tall, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he's 10 foot tall compared to the other guy. Like this is the thing.
I mean,
like,
that is actually probably the correct scale for the custodian to be in relation to the dude. But
yeah, but I mean, come on, they're doing 32s, 32 millimeters. Yeah. It's not 28 anymore. And this is why I put heroic in there. And then you have companies like Final Fantasy Flight Games, which did Legion. Legions are 32s. So those are 32s. And then you have our friend from Marvel, which then you go into, well, let me get a guy that's actually just standing pretty straight, and so I can put it next to another guy which is standing straight. And so Marvel are 40, and like they straight up went for 40 millimeters, and that's probably in the games that I consider normal tabletop skirmish game or even like combat games, those are probably the tallest there are, and at 40. I don't think there is anything else that's like remotely close to that. Then you go to 50 something, which I know you were talking about. Like you have some 54, 52s or 54s.
54s. So
54,
this guy,
72, yeah.
This guy is a legally distinct character. Please do not steal. But he's technically 28 mil. So he's heroic. So if I put him
he's 20,
next
he's 20 foot
to
tall.
put him,
like 3 meters.
Let's get the sorceress back out.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
So that is totally not the Emperor of Mankind. So
yeah, well, so
he's supposed to be that big. I got one of my 54 mil miniatures down.
Okay.
So this is an Eldar Ranger from the old Inquisitor Specialist Games line from Workshop. You'll love this. Metal.
Well.
So
okay.
For those of you who can see this pretty nicely on the camera, this is something I painted when I was 16. So let's compare that to what I'm currently working on, and
So then
never mind the fact that this is blank. This is base colors and no shades or washes or highlights.
All right, I have a question for
so-
you then, because you seem. Yeah, so I got my Ogroid. He's freaking huge.
Mhm.
Is he supposed to be just a giant dude and he's in like heroic
Yep.
28?
Yep.
All right, yeah, cool. That's what I thought. Because yeah, he's pretty big.
He's an ogre.
Yeah, he's an ogre. Well, then I have this guy. So he's a 72. And resin, very detailed, very very nice sculpt. Here, Echoes of Camelot was the Kickstarter for this. Love it. I need to prime it, paint it. It's daunting to have such a big figure to do. But yeah. I mean, so basically, what we're trying to say is that there's a lot of scales, and you probably have, if you've been doing this long enough, there's plenty of scales. I mean, I don't even know what those guys' scales are. They're supposed to be 30 meters tall robot, and they're like 60 millimeter tall. So I have.
And I've got this guy as well.
Oh yeah, okay. That's chunky.
My brother found a STL for a Mark II armored Space Marine.
All right, cool.
I was like, oh, I can find a shoulder pads in the Legion that Liam plays for Horus Heresy, and I can print him out a giant Space Marine. Nice. So he took the STL and he scaled it up to 300%.
Oof, nice. So what scale is that supposed to be?
Technically, if he's heroic 32 and he's 3 times it, this is technically a 96 mil heroic 96 mil Space Marine.
Well then, yeah. Then after that, that's the thing. Also, is like after that, that's one of the good thing about. And so for me, all right. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about scale,
shading and highlighting something this big. So
yeah, one of the big reasons why I wanted to talk about scale is the issue that I've had with scale. When you have, and I don't know where they are, but anyways, where I had minis that were the same height, but they looked completely different. And the reason for that was the proportion of the bodies. Like some sculptors will try to do, they will sculpt something true to life size. So they will take a human body and just be like, oh, let me shrink that to 28 millimeters. So they have very thin features, very, like very thin fingers, very thin arms, and they look like they will look very thin on the sculpt. The problem with that is that some people tend to do chunky models when they are reducing the size, and that's the case for the people from North Star Miniatures. Their miniatures are
these guys aren't my Teutonic Knights. They're proportions. They're just all really chunky lads.
Yeah, exactly. And this
because,
is so that
because they're sculpting to cast in metal. It's as much a product of the scale as it is a product of the casting process.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why people like this guy, for example, he's so those are the Corvus Belly metal miniatures. They don't look chunky at all, but they are 32s. Like they are technically supposed to be. Well, this is why I'm thinking: are they 32s really? Because that Stormtrooper is bigger. So are the Stormtrooper 35s? And that's the thing. Also, is like you will get. Oh, we are making 32 millimeters. Okay. And then they're like, oh, we're doing true 32s. Like, so what's the freaking difference? Oh, one is to the eyes, one is to the top of the head.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, okay. So I think people should just decide on things, but I believe, and like you said, that some of it is due to casting and some of it is due to proportion. And I think this is why the Marvel, they were like, oh yeah, we're doing 40 millimeters, which is huge, because you can get terrain, which is the O scale of trains, is 40 millimeters. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But the more that I've been, and I was at the beginning, so I didn't know that much, but I don't think that if you put them in 28 millimeters, so I mean, like, when you see Spider-Man the size compared to this little dude, like, Spider-Man is huge. Then you will get into that issue where they might look too chunky. And if you want to keep true to the comic book style of the characters, or the life, like the life realism kind of thing from the movies, there is no way that you can chunk them up. They will just look wrong. And even like, you can see it even with the Night models. The Night models are 32 or 35s. They went, like, they had to. I think they had to go that tall, because if you're going smaller than this, you're gonna have issues. There is no way you can keep those proportion and everything. They will be either too hard to paint, or just look weird, or have like tiny details. Like, you see Spider-Man's doing his, like, doing this, like the with his fingers to shoot the web. How do you do that in 28? Like, his fingers are gonna be they're thin. But if you do it in 28, if you want to keep proportion that's gonna look good, then those, I don't even think you can print those. You see what I mean? Like, I think you will be limited by the technology. You might, if you're people like Games Workshop, and that's gonna cost you a freaking fortune to do the mold, because all of us,
the molds and the
yeah,
the
it's
casting.
gonna be nuts. So I think that's why, like, some of the models, I think that's why they are the size that they are. Corvus Belli, I think it's more because they want details. They're casting in metal. They want high details, so they have to go a little bit higher. So they are, I think, those are 32s, and the other ones are, well, there's 32s to the top of the head. The other ones are 32s. The Stormtroopers, the Legion, are 32s to the eyes, I think. Again, I'm not sure, and probably someone will correct us in the comments below. Please do. Have fun. Let us know. But again, so there is a scale for everybody out there. I mean, like, you can find whatever you want. When you start going heroic 30, heroic 28, 32, 35, 40, I don't think there is a big difference as far as, like, playing the game themselves. You will have more based on what we talked about last week, which 2 weeks ago, which is the actual, was it 2 weeks ago? I have no idea. In a previous episode where we talked about the scale of the games that you're playing, if you're playing an army or if you're playing a skirmish, that's
two episodes
ago. That's gonna have a lot more impact on your table play than, oh, you're playing with 28s. Yeah. Oh, I'm playing with 32s. Yeah. So my table is gonna be 10 feet bigger. No, it's not. It's not gonna change anything. The terrain is it's a little bit more of an issue.
Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, a lot of the times down the club, the guys playing, like, the historical stuff will be playing on a smaller scale than the guys playing the 28 mil workshop stuff, and their table will be 2 or 3 times as big as ours.
Yeah, because because it's the scale of the armies, and
I
because you
mean,
have a
they've
full
been
freaking army. Yeah.
playing what they've been playing recently. They've been playing a game called To Err is Human,
Okay.
and that's with a UR as in creation. So they're like super early ancients, like Hittites and stuff,
Oh, cool.
and that
Yeah.
looks very grid based and confusing. And I've been trying to
Wrap your head around it.
not so much wrap my head around it as not pay attention to it, so I don't get confused with trying to teach people Sigma at the same time.
But yeah, no, and I think that's again, like if you're playing with, a whole battalion, or if you're playing with 10 dudes, or if you're playing with 300 dudes, that's gonna change the size of your game. Yeah. Nothing else will change the size of your game to that level, uh, based on scale only. I mean, like, yeah, of course, again, if you were playing 28 millimeters and you had 300 guys, I don't think you could fit it on a freaking table. That's just gonna be nuts. But well, yeah, true. You could probably do it, but it's just gonna be, like, well, look at it this way. If you're doing World War,
Well,
if you're doing
one of my
World War
heresy
II,
armies has 100 guys plus
all right,
on the starting army, and they fit in most of the deployment zones
cool.
with space to spare.
All right, well,
I mean, I wouldn't be able to fit 300 guys in the deployment zone.
well, no, but again, like, it's
I could probably fit another 30.
it's I think, yeah, but if you were doing battles like World War II, like the D-Day, World
Yeah.
War II. I mean, like, even
Yeah,
even in
you
15
tend to have
mils,
deployment rules for that, so you come on the table
yeah.
in waves, which is I'd like.
It's just, it would be, I think it would just be crazy.
Cool.
And so, yeah, again, scales. Now, like I said, my problem is that some people will sculpt 28 millimeters and be like, oh yeah, this is 28 millimeters, and then you look at it and you're like, well, yeah, but when you put it next to this other guy that is 28 millimeter, it looks like it's got, legs that are 3 times as large, hands that are 3 times as large. There is an issue, and that is one of the issue I'd had, and I don't know if they are even remotely close to where I can grab them. Not those guys, but I was looking at Stargrave. No, yes, Stargrave, and I wanted to do Mandalorian Stargrave, and so I found some Mandalorian models, but some of them were like 54 millimeters, 52 millimeters, 54 millimeters, 72 millimeters. So when you scale them down, they just look wrong, and that was a big issue. And you had to. I cannot find them. I don't see them at all anywhere. Basically, I had to. And Ahsoka was probably the weirdest one, where I actually left her X and Y the same, and just crushed from the top, so that she kept the same arm width. Basically, like, she was bulky, but all of a sudden, like, she was smaller to the level of the other guys, and she looked okay. And I think that those might be the ones in there. No. And so, here we go. So I've tried to do that with a few characters, and I had to print them a few times, because some of them just, like, and you can tell, like, this guy is supposed to be 28 millimeters, and he works well next to my little North Star Mini. But then, like, Cara Dune just looks wrong. She's just way too thin. And then this other guy's looks way too thin as well. And I had to just go back and forth and figure out basically just increasing, like shoving the guy to the size that I want, and then just increasing X and Y just to make him bulkier. Some of them came out really nice, like this Boba Fett with the jetpack and everything. That looks proportionally okay. And the reason I did this is because the other Stargrave that I have are, they're proper 28, so they are pretty small compared to what people do today. Most people do heroic, like they will do 30, 32s, 35s. So not 28 anymore. Not real 28. So yeah, and I think that's one of the big difference that I've seen when you start looking at those is that issue where you're just looking at the thing and you're like, well, it just looks wrong. And that's my big issue with people, and especially with people that do 3D models today. Like where you can buy 3D models, because they should be able to tell you, it's like, oh yeah, I was like, oh, just scale it up, scale it down. Well, if it's terrain, yeah, scale it up, scale it down, it's not gonna change anything. The terrain is gonna be bigger, but scaling people just some of them makes them look really weird. Like I could not see Spider-Man right now, the way he is, being scaled down to 28, it will just look freaking weird. Like it will not just fit at all with the rest, like with what you're usually seeing as 28. So what's your favorite scale?
So I know most of my stuff is workshop stuff.
All right.
So like by process of this is what I play most of the time.
Yeah. It makes sense.
It's heroic 28 or 32. Although I do have
well, the old ones, you could see the creeping
yeah.
scale up.
Well,
but
that's
yeah. If you have some old metal mini, they were true 28.
Got my old metal Azrael, and a Space Marine these days is about a head and a half taller.
Well, they're supposed to be pretty big and tall and whatever, but yeah, it's still there is a definite creep in scale. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So I've got like I showed my my Teutons that I will get around to finishing painting eventually.
Why is it not?
One of these days.
Yeah, I have so many projects.
And my Romans.
Yeah, but
I need to strip them.
So, yeah,
I just want to strip them and just dunk contrast on them and just get them done quick. That's what I should do. But I'm lazy.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing also is like some range of so sometimes like they did for the new Stormcast, didn't they give a reason why their proportion were different and all that?
The proportions haven't changed. They're technically the same size from foot to eye line.
But
they're stood up
less
straight.
Chunky because their armor is thinner.
They've got
right?
They've got a different suit of armor on, and they're stood up more. The new Space Marines, the reason they're taller is because they're a new type of Space Marine.
Is that the one, the Primaris?
Yeah.
Because they're like even bigger in real life.
They're Spacier Marines.
So yeah, no, and like that's
and
okay.
the fact that the Chaos Marines just happen to have been starting to get bigger as well. Even though they don't have access to Spacier Marine technology,
It's just so they don't look too
It's
tiny
just,
next to
it's,
them.
don't think about it.
It's don't ask question. Don't you dare. Don't ask
Stop
question.
thinking about it. Don't ask.
So
I ain't going to
yeah.
tell you, so stop asking.
Well, no, and so that's again for me. Yeah, it's 40 millimeters a lot because that's what I paint and that's what I like to paint, and that's Marvel Crisis Protocol. I think that busts and even this guy, which is a 72, to paint is gonna be awesome.
Hmm.
Because you can really you have so much more space to express yourself in a way, and just like you can actually paint a face without it looking like the horror story that we all know and we all do and I still do, and that's why I like also I think that's why I like Marvel a lot, because a lot of them are wearing masks, so you don't have to worry about the eyes.
Oh, let me tell you a story about why I usually only paint models with helmets on.
Helmets. Yeah.
The story is I don't want to paint faces. It's a
Yeah.
quick story.
But that's the thing, is like when you look at this face, like this guy, he's 72, and like his face is huge, and
He's
I
looking
can
good for his
actually
age.
can do like I can actually work on his face and actually paint the eyes and do all that. There's plenty of space to do that, and I don't have to worry too much. But yeah, so I think that there's some scales that are better for painters, and the bigger the better in a way. Bust again, like it's another thing that you can have the top of the guy, and it's a lot. You don't have to worry too much about the rest, and then you can just focus on what you want to paint and all this. But yeah,
Way back in the day,
yeah,
Forge World did a couple of busts,
cool.
and they looked really cool. And
All right,
they had them in the cabinet as you went into Warhammer World. You're like,
cool.
ooh, look at those! But they don't sell them anymore. So
Yeah.
if you can find a Forge World bust of Abaddon the Despoiler, it's going to be on eBay for a lot.
All right.
Ooh,
Well, so yeah, so 3D
I'm
printing.
going to have a quick look at that.
If you know the way I scale my minis, if you know a mini that looks good printed, one of the things that you can do is take that mini, put it on the bed of the printer in the software, take your other mini that you want to scale, put it next to it, and start scaling it until you're satisfied how it looks next to the other one. And that took me a while to do, because it's like I had to go from looking at a mini that I like, that was a physical mini, printing one that looked good next to it and okay next to it, and the same overall scales and everything that we were talking about, proportion and so on, then using that as a reference for printing the rest. And so if you know, like I said, if you printed one and you know it looks great and it works for you, and you're you're happy how it looks, use that mini to just scale everything with it, because then you know that the proportion of that mini works for you and everything else works, and then you can just scale and say, okay, well, this guy, maybe he's a monster or something, is gonna be like 1.5 bigger, but then it doesn't look, because it could be a lot bigger but still have the same size hands, and that would be just ridiculous. So you can scale that again based on something that works, is what you can do to get your proper thing. So yeah, that's my advice for 3D printing. So, and unless you have something else, I will continue with 3D printing.
Go for it. I'm seeing if I can find this bust.
So I've been trying to. So I looked at Corvus game terrain. I had the subway station for quite a while, and I put the subway station in my slicing software, like we were talking about before, and I started looking at what I would need to do to print, to have the, like all the stuff that would be a full 3x3 tables, and it ended up being about 6 kilos of filament, which is 6 rolls, and would take 28 continuous days to print or some
Yeah, that was
ridiculous thing like
mad.
this. And I looked at this and I'm like, holy moly, that would be awesome. I mean, and I know, like, I've seen the guy that did it, like a whole subway station table 3D printed. And I think that if you print slowly, piece by piece, and you just then it probably would take you about three months, I think, probably, of actual printing, maybe even more. And that could be something to do, like, just, you don't have to worry too much, and you just you're like, hey, printing one, you print one, hey, it's done, printing two, and so on and so forth. But so that's still in the back of my mind, and I might actually just set up to be able to do that. I would have to get filament delivered pretty much every month if I want to do that. Now, the construction site, so it's a building in construction, and I think that will go very well with Hulkbuster, which is coming soon. So that one is looking like 1.5 kilos of filament, maybe 2 kilos tops, if I want to print some other stuff with it. So a lot more reasonable. And so that's what I started printing, and that's why I was like, oh, let me change the head of my printer, because I was seeing that the layers were not very consistent on the printer and so on. So I'm like, all right, let me change the head and look at starting fresh, so that I can do those prints very, like, they're gonna look nice because they're gonna be proper and all this. So that's what I did, and that's when the whole debacle with the printer went through. So yeah, but
I have found one of these busts
and so
on
this
eBay.
is all right, cool. Well, there's gonna be a picture on the screen, and there's gonna be a link below.
It's 180 euros.
Oof, oh, dang.
But it is painted.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, so that's still, so that's a project that once I get the extruder and I run a test print and the test prints comes out okay, well, the first layer actually comes out okay, and I'll be happy, and I'll be like, let me get onto that now and do the proper print jobs and start running them one after the other. Probably will print 4 tiles by 4, like 4 tiles at a time, and print those. I need 3 by 4, and then 3 by 3, and then 2 by 2, and it's pretty much what I want to do. Like they're making the building. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's still in the plan. Now, not in the notes, but let's talk about website where you can find models. So the biggest one that everybody knows is Thingiverse, which is free. You can find some good models on that. You can also get some really nasty stuff that are not going to print properly, and this is because they're free. You put them on and people can put whatever they want. They're not being vetted or anything like this. Now, the other side of that is My Mini Factory. Again, because it's called My Mini Factory, there are a lot of minis on there, and that's a very good site. I've got a lot of models from it. I've printed a lot of the models for Rain in Hell that I started my warband. All of them are from My Mini Factory. Like, literally, I think maybe 1 or 2 were from the the Thingiverse, because there were some really good ones there, but most of them are from My Mini Factory. So again, really really good site, My Mini Factory. Now people also post on CQ Trader, and CQ Traders are 3D models, but you can also use them in games. Like some of them, you will find the stuff and they will be like, yeah, grab that file, and you can basically, you're doing a game, and you can, like a computer game, and you can use that in your computer game because they are models. There are Cult 3D is another one where you have models, not just to print, but also again that you can actually import into games or sceneries, or like if you want to do video effects and stuff like that, so you can find those. 3D Cult is okay. CG Trader is fine, but you will have models that are fully detailed and everything, and those will cost a fortune. I mean, I've put some on the Discord. There were some Superman and Batman models and stuff like that. Some of them are like $20 something for one, and you're like, well, is it printed? No, it's just the 3D files, and you're like, that's a bit steep for a 3D file. But again, so those are some of the website where you want to go. Now, if you want to look for something and you don't care where it's from, then there is Yegi. And Yegi, basically what it does, it will look into multiple websites.
Right.
CG Trader, Cult 3D, My Mini Factory, and Thingiverse. All of those will be looked into by this program. So you say, I want a dog, and it will give you dogs. So you will have some free ones on Thingiverse, you have some free ones on My Mini Factory. There are some free files. And so it'll give you a lot of options. All the way from to like, oh, you want this?
Yeah, but you're gonna get varying quality though, aren't you?
Oh yeah, no, and this is why, like, you can, you can look at all those, and I like Yigi for that, because then you're like, okay, I want that mini. Okay, let me look at, like, I want that type of mini, like I say, a dog, for example, like a war dog, and you will have a war dog that's gonna be fine for stuff like Stargrave, Frostgrave, because they have Warhound. And then you will have something that are gonna be like, oh, this looks like my dog, let me print it at 72 millimeters, so I can paint it and give it to my friend, blah blah blah. Or it looks like the dog dead, my friend's dog died, or whatever. And that is super high quality of a German Shepherd with all the hairs and everything, and completely different, but not the same price, not the same. And so I think Yegi for that is really good, because you can get all those into one place. Sometimes it's a little bit tedious to search, because they are, like, there's so many of them that you get a lot of garbage that you have to go through to be like, oh, yeah, that's not at all like what I want.
This is not what I want.
Yeah, skip. So it will sometimes it takes a while, but if you can narrow it down to what you want, I think it's a good place to search for stuff. So yeah, those are my websites that I use all the time. Again, a lot of them are doing Patreons, and I have not pulled the trigger on any of them yet. And I'm really contemplating one-page rule, maybe. Because they have some really cool models, but they don't have enough of what I'm doing to do that. But there are some that do a lot of Marvel. Well, sorry. Distinct. legally distinct
comic book characters.
So it is not Captain Carter from the What If. It is, what is it, Miss London
Yeah.
or some BS like this. But yeah, so legally this, well, credit where credit is due. They're sculpt them anyway. Like they don't rip them off like a video game or something. They are sculpting them. Yeah, they take screenshots and they sculpt them based on some IP, but they still sculpt them themselves.
It's legit work.
I think, yeah. But yeah, so there's a bunch of those. I don't know, honestly. And then you have also, forgot about that, but there is companies that actually do just 3D models now. Anvil Industries, I think. They have an entire vault that I think they call it like STL vault or something like this, where you have STLs compatible with their models. That basically you can grab a model and do that. Like you grab the model, you print a head, and you can put the head on another model that you bought from them. They're the same scales and everything, so that's pretty good too. And they have some really nice stuff in there. So yeah. So that's another. There's a lot more companies now that are doing that kind of work. There's gonna be a cut in the video. We're back. Sorry about that. I had to take a phone call. Not sure what I was talking about, but let's go into the news. Oh, I was talking about the software, the website. So yeah, Yegi probably is one of the best one. And then Patreon. A lot of people are doing Patreon and stuff like that. So
yeah, a lot of those patrons are linked to the sites.
Yeah,
previously
and usually
mentioned.
they are linked to My Mini Factory. Most of the Patreons are on My Mini Factory. So if you want something, you'll find it there. And like I said, a lot of companies now are doing their own STLs of some of the parts, and I think that should be. And if GW ever does something like STLs, I think they will do something like this. It will be more conversion pieces than bits than actual models. Speaking of, so the news. I've put in there a Kickstarter, which are Prehistoric Beasts. And for once, and I'm really tempted about that one, because for once, prehistoric doesn't mean freaking dinosaurs, but actual like mammals, prehistoric mammals. So you have, like the Smilodon, and they actually put a dodo in there, which I thought was really funny, and the giant, sloth, and Dimetrodon, I think is the name of that carapace one, and all this. I mean, just printing those for my son, it would be just, like it would be thrilled, because there's not that many models. Even like in buying models, you don't have that many of that specific era where, and so those are, it's funny because, well, so those
T-Rex is sell, I guess.
What?
T-Rex is sell.
Well, T-Rex, I don't know how many he has now. But it's like, and this is the problem. It's like you have tons of T-Rexes, you have tons, and now like all the new ones,
and they're all in different scales.
Yes, they are. Well, and this complete side note. You want to buy. Well, if you want to buy scale dinosaurs all the same scale, Schleek. They're awesome. Their sculpt are great. The quality of the models are awesome. They go for $10 to $25 piece for something that is, like 15 centimeters tall, something like that. My son has a whole bunch of those on his, like, he had for a long time. We bought a whole bunch of them, like birthdays and Christmas and things like this. He would put like 4 or 5 on them, and then parents or whatever would buy a couple, but all the same Schleek, and they're awesome. So complete side notes. But yeah, now those are great because for once it's not those freaking, it's, well, don't get me wrong, love dinosaurs and all this, but those are hard to find. Like this period where there were actually humans with them instead of putting humans with dinosaurs, which don't even get me started on that. You put them with actual, with prehistoric beasts, prehistoric, like cave bears and saber-toothed tigers and Ice Age, basically. Welcome to Ice Age. Like all those animals they're in there. Like they're doing those. Awesome sculpt, and they have like tame version. They call them tamed armored version, which looks super cool. Which I'm pretty sure you can find some minis to put on top of them and do all this. So check it out. I think today they still have 12 days to go or something around that. So by the time you see this, hopefully there's still a few days. And honestly, like, I think it's $25 for all the models. And I think that's really not bad for probably something like 50 STLs. It's really not bad at all. I mean, because you have you have multiple versions of the same animal and a tame armored one. So there's like 3 of each at least, and then you got those. They look really good. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's really, really interesting. In one episode where we talked about, I don't even know if we were doing the news yet. So that's my second news. I talked about Rome Total War, the video game, being done into a board game, tabletop war game. We're not sure yet. They have not released any more info on it, except that there's already gonna be expansion. There's gonna be maps, new factions, and so all the new factions that people like, Egyptians and so on. Right now, it looks like the base game is gonna be Europe, around the Mediterranean, probably like Italy, so Rome and so on, which makes sense because Rome Total War. But that would probably be the first part and the first map. So I'm expecting Rome, maybe some Gauls and like northern tribes and stuff like that. Probably like the first few tribes that you encounter when you play Rome Total War. The expansion looks like it's gonna be the rest of the map as you explore it, which is gonna be the the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Mesopotamia, and all this. So already they're talking about like when they're gonna do the crowdfunding, I think in 2022. Then it's gonna be already with like there's gonna be a possibility of an expansion and everything. So now it's how much they're doing into the armies and stuff like that, minis and so on. I mean, they could start small and do something like, Kings of War or things like this, where they come up with new armies and new faction, new armies.
The Song of Fire, Ice and Fire.
Yeah, yeah. Where
okay.
you get like, oh, this is your base infantry. Those are, and then you get your specialists. Like in Rome Total War, when you play, you got your first legionnaires, and then you get into like triaries with their spears, but then you get into all the different level of your infantry, for like heavy infantries, where they evolve through time to get better and better armored and so on and so forth. So don't know if they're gonna go that far, but that could be a good place to go. So those were my 2 news. I looked at other stuff, but those were the only 2 things that really grabbed me and be like, huh, interesting. I'm pretty sure while I'm looking at your news, you got a bunch of Games Workshop, so go for it. Tell us about
your
news.
The first thing I've put on there is a GIF that is going to come up on the screen.
Okay.
Where are my dragons?
Yes, definitely. Let me see that. Redirecting you. Come on, give me. Where's my dragon? Where are my dragons? Yeah. Well, didn't they say today like they're coming?
Well, they're always going to say that because they've
Well,
announced them, and we know they're in the release queue somewhere. So they're always going to say, "Yeah, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming. Don't worry about
they're coming,
it."
yeah.
But
Well.
but the comes on to the next bit. Let's scroll down.
New special. What is that?
Oh, I get that. That's I haven't put this in any particular order for
because
I'm
all right.
I'm good. So yeah, off the back of Where Are My Dragons, at the Sunday preview for this week for the stuff we're getting on pre-order on Saturday. So tomorrow, if this comes out on time. None of that.
We'll try.
None of that's Age of Sigmar. So, well,
okay.
some of it is.
All right.
Got the new Warhammer Underworlds Harrowdeep.
Yeah, I saw that pre-orders,
So
right?
That's
coming
on the
up.
pre-orders.
Man,
That's
it's like if I didn't have
strange-looking Stormcast and the Crawl Boys.
I like those. I like those for the like contained in a box kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I painted one dude from Curse City, which is down there, and I've assembled all of them, and that's about it. So I'm not even sure I primed them. Oh no, I'm looking at them. No, they're not even primed. I mean, yeah, that's my problem. Is like so I don't want a new box. I don't want no. I need to finish everything for.
At the very least, these will be nice coloured plastic, so it won't be grey for you to look at.
Yes, yeah, because they're coming so that you can play out of the box with different colors, and so yeah, true. And they're not that many, true, right? There's like what 4 per sides or 5?
4 or 5 per side, I think.
Yeah.
I've got a team on my desk that I've painted that I just haven't put away, and there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus one I've got somewhere else. So that's 7.
Yeah, that's something. I don't know. I need to check. I don't think this one would be the one that I would go for. Probably one of the previous ones.
I mean, I know I'm not getting this box because it's the starter set for the game, for the new season of the game. And if I'm going to pick an Underworld's Warband up, it's going to be purely for the minis.
Yeah.
So, there's some 40k campaign book stuff.
Okay.
So that's, I think, Warzone Octarius. So if you're into orcs or Tyranids.
Okay.
That's your thing. There's some other stuff in that preview that I'm going to lump in somewhere else. So we're going to swing back around to that. And there's some new tufts.
New what?
Tufts.
Okay. From whom?
Games Workshop. This is still on the Sunday preview. So they're doing green and brown grass that you can.
How does it look?
The link is on there, so you can. That's about halfway down, so you can have a look at that.
Oh, Sunday preview? Is that the one? All right. I'll definitely take a look at that because I'm happy with my army painter. I think they're making great tufts, but I'm surprised that
the ones for these that they're saying you can paint over them, you can varnish over them, they'll be fine, and they're adhesive, so you don't have to worry about putting PVA on as well. I'm like, cool, neat. It's not dragons, don't care.
Oh, okay. All right, they're not bad.
There's
burn grass, and it looks like burn grass and what's the other one that I'm using? jungle grass. The other one, like more greenish,
Hmm.
something. Yeah, more green. Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. Cool. All right.
Still on that, there's Warhammer Day, which they've got 2 exclusive miniatures for Warhammer Day. You've got a boring ass Space Marine Primaris Lieutenant with a boarding shield
Mm-hmm.
that literally everybody on Twitter looked at and went, yawn, don't care. And you've got a really cool looking vampire.
I've not seen those either.
That is the next
Did I
link
not
down,
go?
sir.
Did I not go? Oh, it's another link because I was like, I didn't see it on the page. All
I've
right, cool.
not pulled the pictures because I did this about
3 days ago. 3 days ago. Three. War Armor Day. All right. Well, again, like
live reaction
you will
from
get
JG to the...
No, and you will get the, you will get the pictures and the links and everything.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Well, the vampire is
They're-
better
they're-
looking than the Space
No,
Marine.
the vampire. Yeah, the vampire is better looking, but they just
They are generally boring looking models. So
they're pretty static poses,
Yep.
not pause, pose. Yeah. they're poses.
there's
This is
some-
what. Oh, and so side notes. I was talking about Artist Empire last time.
Yeah.
And that is something. So he, is pretty artsy, as far as drawing and things like this. And he was saying like, yeah, there is a lot of movement into the Marvel Crisis Protocols figures, especially the latest one that are coming. They have movement. They have some kind of. Where he was saying, GW tends to have more static figures, especially lately. Yes, they have shitload of details on them, way too much that I don't really care. But yeah, they're. I don't know. It's something that I can see. I mean, I'm looking at my figures. The first Marvels that they came out with were not that dynamic, but they are getting now with like crazy pauses and stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway, so it's like little side notes, but yeah, those are for me are way too. I mean, she's pointing, but like that's
exactly.
She could be jumping and like with fangs out, looking like she's gonna rip somebody's throat out. The other guy could be having his shield like looking like he's batching the head of someone against a wall or something. I mean, they could go freaking nuts on those. Like, anyways, yeah.
So if you don't want to look at Twitter for the reaction, that's basically what Twitter's been saying.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, basically.
Well, again, like I'm literally just seeing those now, and I have not looked at. I have not been a lot on Twitter. And
live react.
And I'm really sorry about that, people. I try to like every single hobby streak post every day.
Yeah.
I have not done that a lot lately. I try to. Basically, what I do is I post mine, and then I go latest, and then I take mine, and then I went goes all the way down until I get to mine again. and I like everything, and I looked at everything, and I have not done that too much, so
Yeah.
sorry about that. Anyways,
You've had stuff on. It's all good.
sorry.
There's the last couple of previews for the Roma Ad Astra stuff. So I
All right.
think
When
that
did
is
they add?
coming up on Kickstarter soon. The
Cool.
last models I remember seeing or the last renders of models I remember seeing from that is the guy's got some renders of models he's got jumping out of the dropship that he's sculpted. So you can have your
Cool.
dropship with guys deploying and
Those
repelling.
those look really nice. Like
From
and
that.
people that saw previous episode, you probably saw those. They were. I mean, I put in the pictures. They looked really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And looping background from that back to some other stuff in the.
That is the heater. I am really sorry if it's making too much noise. I will try to.
I can't hear it, so
yeah, that mic will pick.
Right.
That
okay.
mic will pick. Yeah, so okay. I'll try to.
Block it. As people may know, I'm a big Horus Heresy guy.
Oh really?
I heard there was heresy, so I came as fast as I came.
Nice.
I picked this shirt for today for a reason. There's some of the stuff that they previewed in the Sunday preview. There's a new Praetor for the Sons of Horus. So it's a power armored commander guy. He looks sweet. Mark IV destroyers are back in stock. So it's guys in Mark IV armor with great big drum grenade launchers, so they can fire rad grenades and phosphex grenades and generally go around committing all sorts of war crimes.
Cool.
And the Horus Heresy rules generally come out, to start with, in big black leather bound books with metal corners and gilt edges and all of that. Those are the campaign books. They've got all the background and the color plates for like the livery and heraldry and stuff, but they're also quite expensive. So what they've been doing is, as those go out of print, they're then later on releasing them in softback.
Okay.
So there's book 3 and book 7 are coming out in softback on Saturday. So that's the third part of the Istvan campaign, which is the beginning of the Horus Heresy. And book 7 is Prospero, which is Space Wolves, Thousand Suns, and the Talons of the Emperor.
They've been releasing a lot of stuff. GW recently.
Forge World have started to get back onto the heresy train. The
you were
next link
talking
up
about
I've got
that
from that is they've put out a new special character for the Ultramarines. Okay. The guy with a great big banner.
Are they gonna release like a new rule, or do you think, or something is coming?
This month's White Dwarf has an article in about armor marks, power armor marks throughout the Horus Heresy.
So okay. Well, it's a good sign that they are not dropping it completely, and they realize a lot of people are still playing, and so yeah.
I went into my local Games Workshop to buy some spray paint on my way from here to the club, so I could spray some terrain. I was like, "Yeah, I've been doing some stuff. Got all my Horus Heresy stuff," and he's like, "Ooh, I'm starting to get into the Horus Heresy. I'm waiting for Alfarius to come back in stock so I can get him. I'm looking to do some Alpha Legion. Some of my friends are starting to get into Horus Heresy as well." I was like, There's a lot of Horus Heresy stuff going on at the moment, isn't there? And he was like, yes. I sure would be excited to run some of it in my shop.
Nice. All right. So are you gonna go and be like, yeah, I'll do it.
Generally speaking, the guys who run the Warhammer stores will only run stuff in the store if they sell it in the store.
And if it's new.
If they sell it in the store. So the Forge World stuff, Forge World resin stuff,
are going to be sold in GW store? That would
does
be freaking
not
nuts.
tend to happen in the GW stores.
Yeah.
Because they don't sell it.
Wow. So you think that GW is coming with something?
About 6 months ago of what looked like the back of a new Horus Heresy plastic starter set.
Nice.
And he was
that
like,
would be pretty cool.
I couldn't possibly comment. I can't talk about rumours. And I was like, I'm aware you can't talk about rumours. But I can. And I can look at your face while I talk about rumours.
Alright, well, so something's
So
coming.
I'm not
Dun,
yet
dun.
boarding the hype train, but I've got my ticket and I'm on the platform.
And you just lost your camera. Yet again.
Well, that one.
Yeah, it's fine. No
Oh,
worries.
man.
We've been
Well,
talking.
I
It's
finished
fine.
painting it now anyway, so
Yeah.
we're wrapping up.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, that would
So-
be nice. That would be nice if something
we're
was
not
coming
saying
out.
that there's going to be Plastic Horror Heresy coming soon,
We're not saying
but
they're
there are
not.
signs and portents in the air
But we're not
that
saying
seem
no.
to suggest.
Nice.
So I'm excited to do some
that would be
Plastic
cool.
Horror Heresy and pivot hard into getting everybody in my club to play Horus Heresy again. Drop AOS like a pile of hot potatoes. All heresy all the time, baby.
Nice. That would be cool. Alright. Any other news, mister, except that freaking, bombshell of a news? Like, come on. That would be.
No.
Yeah.
That's it. I've got a pile of hot maybes and no dragons.
Yeah, still no dragons.
And that's where I am at the moment.
Dragon.
That's my life. No dragons
Damn it,
and
no dragons.
the possibility of Plastic Heresy.
That would be cool.
I would like some Plastic Heresy, please and thank you, because we don't have a starter set.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get people into the game.
Let me put another news. So people that are following me on Twitter and probably Discord, The Witcher board game is coming out next year, most probably for the Kickstarter. I think you can still do the pre-order on some platform. It's not Kickstarter, but you can go on another link and they do still do the pre-orders. They've posted new videos on the expansions and on some of the new gameplay and all this. Again, minis are awesome. They look really cool. The board game itself is a card game driven game, and it's very solid. Like, honestly, at first I was, and I said it in probably one of the first episodes that we recorded, that at first I was a little bit apprehensive that they just slapping an IP on something and be like, ugh, it's gonna be another one of those games. Yeah, they're gonna be cool minis and everything, but it's gonna be a crappy game behind. But no, the game is solid. And
It's good to hear.
You can actually go on YouTube and look for The Witcher, the old world. Go to the channel of the people who make it, which I cannot remember the name of the guy. The company that does it, but it's like a couple of guys. And look at the gameplays, and they actually show you how it's played and everything. It's not exactly the final version kind of thing, but it's still, that's something to check out. And again, they raised millions, and I think it looks like very promising. So yeah. And I have another game which is Squadron 303, which is supposed to be coming soon, and it's the Polish fighter pilots that did in the UK. They were flying in the UK, yeah. So it's basically you're flying little planes and you're fighting the Germans coming to bomb London with little tiny airplane models. So looks pretty cool. Backed it a year and a half ago, probably more. So it should be coming soon. We'll see. I'll talk about more when I get it. And that's pretty much it. So how's your guy looking? Unless you have more news, but if not, then how's your guy looking for today?
So we have managed to do. I'm going to show the front camera because that's dead. Got the the Griff cloak. Put some
Cool.
shade on the stones. I've painted the grass. Got the
Alright.
silver down on that. Got his prayer rope, tape, parchment, belt ropes, scabbard,
Cool.
weapon hafts.
Alright.
Started to tidy up some of the plate on that. Same kind of
Sure looking.
industrious. Got the tree and the squirrel,
Steers thingy, yeah.
and got all the vines.
And you probably will
start-
get some nice
Sorry.
close-up pictures of those
Yeah.
in the box below where
When I
your
remember
painting
to
hands,
take them.
where your
I need-
painting hands should be.
Let's
Yeah, so
get that
I
off of there.
basically only did the explosion on Spider-Man and starting
plug that in.
doing the base layer on the base so that I can wash it and dry brush it and be done. So yeah, and that I like this a lot better than what I did last time. So pretty happy. Yeah, and I think he's pretty much done. I don't think I'll paint him in the next stream. Jeez. So, and I don't know what I'm. Who's dead? I don't know what I'm gonna paint. I don't know what I'm gonna if I'm gonna receive anything from, because they've been late in a lot of the release. Not well in the US, basically in the US. So I still have really Wanda, the Scarlet Witch. I got Mysterio, which I think looks pretty cool. So he might be. And did I just break Mr. Spider-Man? No, yeah. Mysterio still to paint. Cable looks really cool. Sinister, Black Cat, Jane Grey, Bob. I think I will do Bob quickly. Domino and Cassandra are the ones that I've left. Oh, and I forgot. So I painted Sin, so that's Viper. So those are the ones that so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Man, that's it. Woohoo! I've been cranking the. I've been really
Yeah,
like,
man.
yeah, getting
Doing
those.
work.
Getting those done. So, Mysterio is green, so I might tackle him. But like Sinister is gonna be metallic. I'm like, I don't want to do metallic. After Angela, I'm like, I need some rest from metallic. Black Cat is gonna be pretty easy. She's gonna be black. It's probably gonna be Black Templar because I'm not like that's the easiest way to paint black. Just use Black Templar. It's the best. That's why it's the one that I'm running out of. But anyways, so yeah, we'll see what I paint next time around in the stream. But yeah, I think that Mr. Spider-Man will get a picture, and I will, as always, not finish his base until I make another model and be like, hey, I need to finish the base.
Well, at least you're consistent.
Yeah, I finished Omega Red, which I think is a really cool mini. Like, it's not one of my favorite character, but I still think, and probably not one of my favorite paint job, but I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, and I'm starting to have a whole freaking like 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves full of Marvel character. Damn. So yeah, 100 and something I think they are right now. So I've painted close to 100 models. Wow, that's crazy. So anyways, unless you want to add something, we'll say goodbye to everybody.
Like, comment, subscribe, get on the Discord, follow the Twitter, follow us on Twitter.
Yeah. 30 followers, I think we have now. So yeah, thanks for that, people.
Nice.
Comments, please let us know what you want us to talk about in the next episode. We still have a couple of ideas, but we're running out. So give us ideas so we can keep doing this. We'll figure something, but yeah. Let us know. Hopefully this will not come too late. It's been busy, so we'll see. But yeah. Alright. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Liam. Bye,
See you
everybody.
later.
This has been an episode of the Hobbystreakers. If you're following us on YouTube, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell for any future episode. If you're following us on a podcast, please leave a positive review. Thank you, and don't forget to keep that hobby streak going.